Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Apple's WWDC. So, Apple kicks off the annual developer conference, WWDC, with a keynote presentation on Monday. As was the case last year, WWDC will be online only affair. But don't let that fool you. I think that this is going to be an eventful keynote. Expect multiple interesting announcements for users living and following Apple's ecosystem of hardware, software, and services. The focus at WWDC is almost always on Apple software, so rightly so, this is an event primarily meant to engage with developers and encourage them to create new software experiences for Apple's various platforms. For that reason, we should of course expect detailed information about the new versions of iOS, iPadOS, macOS, watchOS, and tvOS. But this event will also mark the halfway point in Apple's 2-year roadmap to the transformation in the entire Mac product line away from Intel CPUs and towards Apple's own custom-designed silicon. There's a good reason to believe that this event will focus on transition, a focus that may potentially include a new Mac hardware announcements. Before the show begins next week, let's review what we know and expect this moment. Rest assured, we will also be covering the action as it unfolds with I will make a new video. I don't know why I started there, but anyway. New versions of iOS and iPadOS are sure to be a major focus at WWDC. Last year we knew a whole lot about the new software for iPhones, iPads, and leading up to WWDC. Thanks for numerous leaks this year. There wasn't very much, to be honest with you, but there was a few. iPadOS is slated to get the same home screen customization features that came to iPhones, but not iPads late last year, including widgets you can place on any home screen page and the app library. There have been other reports of upcoming features like food tracking in the health app, but the sources aren't solid, so we suggest approaching those with a grain of salt. Beyond all that, I don't know much about iOS 15 or iPadOS 15, so expect at least a couple of surprises. Apple will also announce new versions of macOS for the Mac, watchOS for the Apple Watch, and tvOS, or something new related to tvOS for Apple TV. We know even less about what to expect from Apple's other operating systems. macOS will be called macOS 12, fully leaving behind the 10X. After Apple graduated the platform from macOS 10 to macOS 11 last year with the launch of Big Sur. And honestly, this is just a side note, by the way. Those new Macs are ugly. They are. Okay. When Apple introduced the M1 chip last year, it was the first custom designed SoC for Macs. These hordes of tech enthusiasts were confused. On one hand, we saw an outstanding ratio of performance to power efficiency, just beating just about everything else in the industry that attracted enthusiasts and professionals seeking the fastest performance to the new Macs. But at the same time, it became clear that the M1 was just an opening salvo. The M1 is not actually designed with products for professionals or enthusiasts in mind. Instead, it appeared in the very lowest end Macs available. These devices include the MacBook Air, bare-bones entry-level configurations for the 13-inch MacBook Pro and Mac Mini, and just recently the 24-inch iMac. Limitations abounded. Think few ports, a 16GB cap on the RAM, or a low number of external displays. Some enthusiasts and pros took the plunge anyway, but if the reports we've seen today are to be believed, those enthusiasts would have been better off waiting for what comes next. Apple is working on a successor for the M1, meant for the Macs the professionals and enthusiasts tend to buy. The higher end configurations of both MacBook Pro sizes and the Mac Mini and other successor to the 27-inch iMac and iMac Pro. Most sources say this chip would be called M2, even as some onlookers feel like Apple's historic naming scheme for the chips will suggest it'll be called M1X. WWDC usually is about software, but if the M2 or M1X chip is announced next week, you can be sure that will be the biggest story coming out of WWDC. The new Macs and maybe a monitor. Hopefully this is true. Apple has yet to update the following Macs and its custom designed silicon: 16-inch MacBook Pro, 27-inch iMac, Mac Pro, high-end configurations of the 13-inch MacBook Pro, high-end configurations of the Mac Mini. Every reliable report has said that the Mac Pro is coming in 2022, so we don't expect to see that at WWDC, but it would be surely use a different chip than the one designed for the other machines anyway. But the 16-inch MacBook Pro, 27-inch iMac, and the high-end specs of the 13-inch MacBook Pro and Mac Mini could all be served by a new chip Apple plans to launch. Chances that they will have the M2 chip or M1X chip ally with the variations and divergent teams of number of GPU cores and other details. Apple is said to be working on a redesign of the MacBook Pro chassis that would look similar to the current laptop in many ways, but with flat edges instead of the curved edges seen today. Further, the laptop would drop the touch bar in favor of physical function keys and would expand the port selection. The current 16-inch MacBook Pro has 4 Thunderbolt USB-C ports. The new one is said to have 3, plus a MagSafe power adapter port, an HDMI port, a micro SD card slot, and also been supply chain rumblings that Apple plans to introduce the mini LED display technology seen in the Pro Display XDR monitor and the newest 12.9-inch iPad Pro to the MacBook line. Mini LED offers significantly better contrast and traditional LED. The Mac Mini may also get a chassis redesign, but we could also see it simply getting additional speed ports and features afforded by the M2 or M1X chip. And that's practically all we know for now, but stay tuned for Monday when the actual event is. So I'll be there. So have a good day, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.